The name does not inspire. Fish Creek. There are many streams in North America and beyond that carry this name, but this one is in southwestern Alberta. Born of collected rainwater, snowmelt, and springs in the foothills of the Canadian Rockies, this Fish Creek joins the Bow River in the city of Calgary, its water destined ultimately for Hudson Bay and the Arctic Ocean. This is the story of our Fish Creek. To understand why this creek matters, we need to look upstream into the landscape that shapes it. Its headwaters lie in a complex ecosystem where fescue grassland meets the foothills parkland, two natural areas converging to create a diverse landscape. For thousands of years, this landscape has supported both wildlife and people. Healthy plant and animal communities thrive in diverse ecosystems, the diversity's presence and power evident in the tiniest and largest species birthing, living, and dying in concurrence with and dependence upon one another. People of the Tsuut'ina Nation migrated to this region from what today is northeastern British Columbia in the 18th century. At that time, the game fish in Fish Creek, or Wolf Creek as the Tsuut'ina named it, were cutthroat trout, bull trout, and mountain whitefish. But by force of circumstance, changes inevitably came. Between the 1920s and 1940s, non-native rainbow trout were stocked in the Bow River near Calgary, and over time they displaced the native species and thrived without further stockings. The Bow has been considered one of the world's great fly fishing streams since the 1970s. Fish Creek joins the Bow River in South Calgary within a park named for the little stream, Fish Creek Provincial Park. This is a natural area within the city and one of the largest urban parks in North America. Since the rainbow's arrival, Fish Creek has played a crucial part in the life cycle of these fish as a place for successful spawning. The creek's volume and velocity, its temperature and bottom composition, and the stable riparian areas where the water meets the land provided everything the rainbows needed for reproduction. As spring arrives and snow departs, the entire watershed awakens and stirs with movement. Rainbow trout, acknowledging the timeless tug, gather in the Bow in South Calgary, then move into Fish Creek and head upstream to spawn. In an earlier era, these fish moved easily, unbothered and unhindered by human presence. Things are not so simple today. Upstream of Fish Creek Park, migrating fish pass through the Tsuut'ina Nation, encompassing 300 square kilometers of First Nations land. Further along their journey, they reached the community of Pritis, established in 1894 at the confluence of Fish Creek and its largest tributary, Pritis Creek. As the fish move upstream toward the headwaters, the landscape and the way it is used by people continues to change. Near the community is Pritis Greens Golf and Country Club, its 36-hole golf course and clubhouse. Scattered throughout the upper Fish Creek watershed are equestrian centers and arenas, and agricultural land producing both crops and cattle. The creek's headwaters lie on the eastern edge of Kananaskis country, where oil and gas extraction and timber harvesting have been conducted for decades. Close to the headwaters is the McLean Creek Public Land Use Zone, occupying 202 square kilometers. It has hiking trails, a 170-site campground, and is an area of heavy off-highway vehicle use. West of Fish Creek's headwaters is the Rocky Mountains Forest Reserve, a 23,000 square kilometer tract of public land along the eastern slopes of the Rockies, stretching from the Montana border north over 600 kilometers. Throughout the watershed, human development intersects with nature. All man-made structures and developments in the Fish Creek watershed, and indeed in all watersheds, require stream crossings, provisions for passage over or under streams and their tributaries, either as roads, trails, or culverts. As the number of stream crossings increases, habitat fragments and the ecosystem degrades, especially with improperly placed or poorly maintained bridges and culverts. The result is a decline in water quality and an increase in sedimentation that can clog critical spawning gravel. In 2020, more than 170 major crossing locations related to pipelines, truck trails, and roads in the Upper Fish Creek Watershed were identified. For decades, Fish Creek was a good place for rainbow trout to spawn, but over the years it has become less so because of the changes brought by civilization, especially rapid urban growth. The city of Calgary's population reached 1.6 million in 2025, and impact on the ecosystem surrounding it was inevitable, and the city's growth continues. The cumulative effect of water use, grazing by livestock, encroachment by human occupation, acreage and real estate development, and resource extraction puts pressure on the riparian health of this watershed. With development continuing at an accelerating rate, these pressures will continue to grow, and without careful management, the health of the watershed is not assured. In 2021, the human footprint in the Fish Creek drainage was estimated to be 75.7 square kilometers, or 29% of the watershed's area. Of 19 sites assessed for riparian health in the Fish Creek watershed upstream of Calgary, 37% were rated as healthy, while 47% were rated as healthy but with problems. The highest health ratings were on Tsuut'ina Nation land. In layman's terms, the watershed's health may be described as mostly okay, but with no guarantee of its future. When a fragile stream ecosystem and a powerful burgeoning city collide, the engagement is often a mismatch. In response to the growing challenges, a group of people who believe it's not too late to conserve and protect have come together with a shared goal. The Fish Creek Watershed Association was formed in 2020 to promote stewardship of the Upper Fish Creek Watershed. In the words of Peter Swan, FCWA Treasurer, urbanization and infrastructure development, as well as resource extraction, are pressures in this area that have to be well planned by all stakeholders, considering the benefits that the watershed provides before decisions are made. A strong group of people who understand the value of a healthy watershed is an essential voice in these discussions. Since its inception, FCWA has recognized that successful stewardship must be driven by education and stakeholder participation. Showing stakeholders what they can do rather than telling them what they can't do has proven to be effective. Road and interpretive signage, community creek walks and workshops, public information meetings, fish inventory surveys, and water chemistry testing are examples of successful initiatives undertaken by FCWA. These people's work shows that small, practical actions can make a meaningful difference. One example of this approach can be found in the way livestock are managed. Cattle play an important role in grassland ecosystems, but how they access water can significantly affect riparian health. With unchecked access to a creek, livestock can cause degradation of stream banks and beds, especially those comprised of earth and soil. However, informed grazing practices are beneficial to both cattle and fish. 3 ranches in the Fish Creek watershed now use off-stream watering systems that allow cattle to access water as needed without causing damage to stream banks and riparian zones. In these systems, a solar panel produces electricity and runs a pump that moves water from the creek to a tank. Water flows into the tank until a float rises and shuts off the pump. As animals drink, the water in the tank recedes until the float drops, which starts the pump and refills the tank. The system encourages cattle to stay out of the creek, thereby protecting stream banks and providing clean, accessible water while only removing water that the cattle consume. These systems have been in use for about 20 years in Western Canada and provide benefits to both the environment and the rancher. Calves raised with this system show significant weight gain, thanks in part to the clean and easily accessible water. And the cattle don't beat down and destroy the stream bank and wade into the resulting mud. This is a safer way for them to get their water, and the riparian area is protected from damage. It's a practical solution with clear benefits for both ranchers and the watershed. This solar stock waterer was purchased by FCWA and is available for loan to local ranches as a way of introducing them to its benefits for their livestock.
A little bit of acrobatics to start the day, get a warm-up in. Okay, this is a little bit of a wetter area. You can see the depression here. This part is fairly dry, so we won't get our feet wet.
Understanding riparian health is key to making these kinds of improvements. Maddie Skinner is a riparian specialist with Cows and Fish Riparian Management Society. Her job is to help people look after their riparian areas, the green areas next to streams, creeks and rivers, lakes and wetlands. Maddie leads community creek walks where interested people can learn about these areas and how they're best taken care of. She points out some of the signs of a healthy riparian area. Lush and uncompacted soils and an abundance of young plants, trees, and shrubs are excellent indicators that things are working as they should. Conversely, a lack of young plants indicates a stressed riparian area that has been overbrowsed by wildlife and/or livestock. Heavy human use, revealed by bare and compacted soil, is another stressor. Water isn't absorbed by heavily compacted soil and drains off rather than sinking in deeply and contributing to groundwater. Monitoring these conditions is just one part of understanding the watershed. To better understand and manage water in the system, accurate data is essential. Scientists use flow monitoring to determine how much water is needed to ensure aquatic and riparian health in a stream. This is known as the in-stream objective, or IO. Through a collaborative effort of FCWA, Tsuut'ina Nation, Foothills County, and an area landowner, flow monitoring equipment has been purchased and installed on Prentice Creek to collect this critical data for the first time. Doug Hossey is the manager of utilities for Foothills County, which looks after flow monitoring facilities throughout the county, including on Prentice Creek. He explains that the monitoring device examines the profile of the creek, its depth and velocity, and from those figures calculates creek volume in cubic meters per second. This determines if in-stream objectives are being met under the terms of the provincial water license, and thereby whether water can be legally withdrawn from the creek or not. The data is uploaded to a hosting cloud daily and can be shared with the Tsuut'ina Nation, government agencies, and other organizations. With a changing climate and an increasing human population, we know the demand for water from this watershed is increasing. The data acquired from this equipment will help everyone understand creek flows and water volumes and will ultimately help ensure a healthy watershed. Water use isn't just monitored, it also needs to be carefully managed. Prentice Greens Golf and Country Club was the first golf course in Alberta to be certified as an Audubon Cooperative Sanctuary in 1998. This recognizes the club's commitment to environmental stewardship and wildlife conservation on their property. The club is a significant user of water, but with multiple water storage facilities, state-of-the-art irrigation systems that use treated water, the expansion of naturalized, non-irrigated areas, and the planting of drought-tolerant grass species, Prentice Greens is able to minimize its impact on riparian health. FCWA founding member Barclay Hunter has lived in the Fish Creek watershed since 1997. He makes his passion for the area and his hope for its future clear. Living on the banks of Prentice Creek has given my family a unique perspective on an extraordinary habitat and the resilience of nature through floods, droughts, deep freezes, and Chinook thaws. We've had a front row seat to the daily rhythms of the woodland inhabitants that call this place home. I've come to understand that this landscape is not defined by any one species, though there are many, nor by any one season. Each season reveals its own character and beauty, shaping the creek and land in distinct and powerful ways. For me, spring is the most magical time of year, when winter ice recedes, the water flows, and a palpable feeling of renewal builds day by day, bringing energy and vibrant life back to the valley. Thanks to FCWA and its active conservation partners, including Cows and Fish, Freshwater Conservation Canada, Bow River Trout Foundation, corporate supporters, Foothills County, area landowners, and stakeholders, a greater appreciation and understanding of the watershed is emerging. The Fish Creek watershed is one small drainage in the huge Saskatchewan River Basin, yet it represents and reveals the universal truth that significant and essential roles are played by the smallest parts of a larger whole.